Good day, Harry Potter fans. Welcome back to the page. Thank you for always being with us for a new chapter of Backward with Purpose, Part 1, Always and Always by Dead Woodpecker. We're at Chapter 31, The Curse.
Chapter 31, The Curse. Chapter text. Harry felt a surge of joy so strong that his heart contracted in his chest and a great lump grew in his throat. They chose. At last. They trust me. For a moment, Harry felt like the 12-year-old on his first visit to the Burrow, and he was meeting the Weasley family for the first time. It was a fresh start, but the instant after this bright thought occurred to him, he was pierced by a bitter truth. It would never be the same. Never, never. He had lost his surrogate family on the day he had come back from the future. He hadn't known it then, and even after his exile from the Burrow, he had retained hope. But he had said goodbye to the Weasleys the day that had put up the wards. And the fact that they were here now, when it was too damn late, filled him with rage. What the bloody hell? Ron shouted. Sorry, Hermione. What the bloody hell are you lot doing here? My thoughts exactly, Harry thought grimly. He had begun to shake, and it was slightly difficult to breathe. He stared at Mrs. Weasley. She was watching her son with an expression of great relief. Ron, Harry decided, is not nearly angry enough. What do you mean they've chosen? Ginny asked. She was as rigid as Harry, and it was as if he held a stiff board in his arms rather than a girl. She fisted Harry's robes and clutched it tightly. Harry wished that he had not consumed quite so much fire whiskey. He felt that he would have wanted to be less drunk for this. They've chosen, Dumbledore repeated. They came to my office tonight and told me they thought Voldemort had returned, and they wished to help. Harry took several deep breaths. The small part of him, nearly gone now, that warred with the rage and bitterness told him that he ought to take a few more. Chosen, have they? It's a bit late, isn't it? Were they years ago? It's a bit late, don't you think? Harry asked. Too late, too late, too late. Bully for them, though. I don't think I've ever been so surprised in my life, Harry lied. He'd been more surprised when the Weasleys had rejected him. I thought they'd come face to face with Voldemort and still accuse their children of being evil. And there was the crux of it. Harry could understand a little what they thought of him. But they had turned their backs on Ron and Ginny, had forced them to leave the Burrow, had forced them to make a choice between them and him. They ought to have known their own damn children better than that. Rage swelled again, and Harry looked around almost desperately. The rational part of him was screaming at him to stop before he said anything he would regret. But no one, not even Dumbledore, made any attempt to stop him. Now, listen, Bill said sharply. Harry knew what he was going to say before he did, and he almost wished that someone would silence him. You couldn't have expected us to know or to trust. And Harry snapped. Every slight, every snide comment, every night that Ginny had cried into her pillow when she thought Harry was asleep, they all came rushing back. That is my point, Harry shouted. He glanced around at those who knew the secret. They had trusted him, and the Weasleys, who should have been his champions, they had let Harry, Ginny, and Ron down badly. Look around. You see these people? They didn't let any fucking article turn them away before they even met me. And you, Harry pointed at Molly and Arthur. How dare they turn on Ginny and Ron? He would curse them if he could. Ought to have trusted your children. Molly whispered something, but Harry didn't hear her. He stared at her, but he didn't see. That damn rune, no doubt inspired by the amount of fire whiskey he had consumed, was all he could see. Pain, pain, pain. If only they had figured it out before we put the wards up. Harry had already said goodbye. This was far too difficult. It was too much. And now he was going to have to tell them about the time travel, and Dumbledore and everyone would expect him to forgive them. And even though he still loved them, he did not think that was at all possible. It's too late. Not to mention what you did to our sister, Charlie said sharply. Just because I know Voldemort's back doesn't mean I haven't forgotten that. Harry had wondered how long it would take them to mention that. He would have bet that they'd be cringing over his terrible power first, though. He felt another surge of anger. So now I'm okay since Voldemort's back? Suddenly they're not so afraid of me anymore? I'm surprised you've forgotten my terrible, fucking power, he seethed. What? Not so worried that I'm going to— What was it? He pretended to think. Lead the family down a dark and dangerous path? Not so afraid that I'm going to bewitch you. No, Bill began. Changing your tune a bit, Harry asked. Try to see it from our perspective, Arthur said. From their perspective. Harry had spent most of his third and all of his fourth year wondering where he had gone wrong, besides touching Ginny. They hadn't trusted him, ever, not even when he had saved Ginny's life, not even when he had taken curse for Percy. He did not know where he had gone wrong, just that he had. But there was no explanation good enough for accusing their son and daughter of being dark. I have tried. I've tried for almost 3 years. But the moment you broke your daughter's heart, do you have any idea how many times she's cried herself to sleep because of you? I stopped trying. Harry, Sirius said. Harry looked at him. His godfather was obviously wondering if he was going to tell them, or if they ought to just send them on their way. But Ginny squeezed his hand, and he realized that the Weasleys should have the truth because they were her family. What the hell is going on? Charlie asked. I thought our concerns were legitimate. If you consider turning your back on your brother and sister a good thing, Harry thought. He glanced down at Ginny and saw an unnatural sheen to her bright brown eyes. You understand nothing, Ginny said. She met Harry's eyes, and Harry found a depth of pain there that made him want to lash out. He took a deep breath, already deciding which memories would hurt them the most. You want to understand? Harry said. Albus. The Pensieve. Harry gathered his thoughts, sorting through memory after memory of death and destruction, love, and what Harry, Ron, and Ginny were willing to do to save them. He gave them an image of the final battle, the memorial, and the decision to travel back in time to avert the disaster. For them. He also added small memories, his favorites, of being an honorary member of the Weasley clan. Harry, don't do anything you'll regret, Dumbledore warned. Harry looked at the Weasleys, who all appeared confused and wary. He wanted to show them what their distrust had done to their son and daughter, who had sacrificed everything for them. So he pulled those from his head as well. And, in the end, he wanted to show them that while they had thought Harry to be evil, he had once thought they'd be accepting and loving. He knew this would hurt them, and he wanted to hurt them. I can't imagine why I would regret it. Is that a Pensieve? What dash? Just go. The Weasleys did not say anything, only moved forward and fell into Harry's memories. Harry sagged against Ginny, feeling suddenly weak. The blood still thundered through his veins, but he felt dizzy from the fire whiskey. What did you show them? Ron asked quietly. There was a long silence after Harry told them. Harry, Hermione said gently. Was that wise? I think it's going to hurt them to be shown memories like that. That's why he did it, Ginny said. And frankly, I can't say that I blame him. At least they'll understand that they've been stupid this entire time, Ron said. Still, Hermione looked pensive. Harry glanced at Dumbledore. I'm not going to regret it. Ginny and Ron sacrificed everything for them. Everything. It was an easy choice to make, yes, and none of us would even think about regretting coming back. But their family betrayed them. They were blind. And, damn me if you wish, I'm not going to regret forcing their eyes open. Dumbledore did not say anything. I don't want to stay here, Ron said suddenly. I don't want to be here when they come out. I want to leave and go to Godric's Hollow. Harry thought this was an excellent idea. Neville, Luna, are you going to come with us? Luna shook her head. Sorry, Arthur. It's late, and we got to get back to the school. See you, Harry, Neville said quietly. They shook hands, and Harry could not believe that so little time had passed since they had plotted ways to kill Umbridge, and it had only been a few hours since the 6 Death Eaters had died. Serious? Harry said. He shook his head. Nah, I'm going to stay here. If they still need a few things explained. Harry took one last look at the Pensieve and Opera into the sitting room in Godric's Hollow. He wanted another drink, but he did not want to have to stay at Grimmauld Place. He did not want to see them. Harry did not know if he would ever really want to see them now that they knew. Ginny appeared beside him, took a deep breath, and started to cry. Harry wrapped his arms around her, laid his head on top of hers, and wondered why his eyes were completely dry. Ron brought Hermione over. The 4 of them stood around a bit awkwardly. Harry had no idea what to say. He wished he had words of comfort to offer Ginny, but if she felt what he did, then there really were no words. Warning, warning, comfort sex ahead. There was only one thing that he really could do. He pulled away slightly, but before he could murmur his intentions in her ear, Hermione spoke up. "Ron," she said quietly, "let's go to bed." "I'm not tired," Ron said immediately. He began pacing around the room. Harry rolled his eyes. "I just can't believe it. I can't believe it." "Let's think about it tomorrow," Hermione said firmly. "Let's go to bed. Together." "I already told you I." But Ron stopped talking when he realized what Hermione was saying. His mouth fell open and his eyes widened. "You mean—" Harry did not stay to listen to the rest of the conversation. He marched out of the sitting room and up the stairs and into the bedroom he shared with Ginny. He shut the door with more force than was strictly necessary and cast a silencing charm and an imperturbable charm. He took one moment to whisper the contraceptive charm, dropped his wand, and swept Ginny up into his arms. "That was exactly what I needed," Ginny said. "Though I may be sore tomorrow. In the good way or the bad way." "In the very good way," Ginny murmured. Harry kissed her softly, stroking the long strands of her beautiful hair. He did not kiss her to draw out her desire again. He was not sure if he was capable of another round at the moment. But he wanted to stall. "Can it wait until tomorrow?" she asked. "Merlin, yes," Harry said. He pulled out of her. "Do you have your wand?" Harry asked. When she shook her head, he sighed and got up to retrieve his own. He cast cleansing charms on the both of them, stripped, and crawled into bed. Ginny did the same, and he curled around her back. He kissed her shoulder, in roughly the same place that he had bitten it, and said, "Love you, Bright Eyes." "Love you too," Ginny said. "Always and always." Neither of them spoke after that, though Harry was awake for several more hours. He was certain that she was as well. Ginny had helped take the edge off of his anger. It was still there, and so was the pain. But he found that he was able to think clearly. The night had deepened before Harry at last slept. He awoke to the best feeling in the world, Ginny using her mouth on him. One moment he had been dreaming, and the next he was wide awake in all ways. He let her continue until the pressure was too great. He tugged her up, curled around her back again, lifted her leg, and entered her as slowly and gently as possible. This time was just as intense as the night before, but in a completely different way. Instead of growling and shouting, Harry murmured endless words of love in her ear. Instead of being forceful, he went as gently as he could. Only the end result was the same. "You can look now." Ginny yawned and pulled on her robes as Harry headed into the bathroom to wash. He stood under the spray of a shower for longer than was typical, trying to order his thoughts before the inevitable conversation with Ginny, Ron, and Hermione. He got out, dressed quickly, and followed Ginny downstairs to the breakfast table. Ron and Hermione were already there. Ron was tucking into a huge plate full of sausage and eggs, while Hermione nibbled on toast with a dreamy expression on her face. Sirius walked in the moment Harry opened his mouth to talk. "Your family has gone back to the Burrow. Don't look like that. They're not angry. They'll be going back to Grimmauld Place tonight. So if you want to see them, they'll be there." "I'm not sure I want to," Ron said darkly. "I think you should," Harry said firmly. Ron and Ginny turned to stare at him. "I thought about this all last night. I think you should talk to them. And I think you should forgive them." "Harry," Ginny said, "I just don't know if I can, or if I even want to." Harry struggled to hide his bitterness. This is all their fault, but he pushed that thought away. It was the right thing to do. He imagined that it would be very difficult for Ron and Ginny to forgive. He had seen the evidence of the wounds caused by their own parents. They ran deep. "I'm going to try too," Harry said, "though I will likely find it more difficult than the two of you. Thinking their own children were evil. What about how they've treated you?" Hermione asked. Harry blew out his breath. "That's impossible to forgive." "Not. And I know this sounds confusing because of what they did, actually. They didn't really do anything wrong. At least not in regards to me. I don't." Harry paused, frustrated. He did not even understand what he was saying. "Listen, your mom and dad, and the closeness we used to have, it's like a dream. Just a dream. It doesn't even exist anymore. It never existed for them. So you're saying that there's nothing to forgive?" Ginny's eyebrows slammed together. "Harry, don't be so damn noble." "I'm not being noble," Harry said sharply. "I'm not. I didn't say that there isn't anything to forgive. I said it was impossible. It's a paradox. I would easily have forgiven your mother and father anything in the other reality. You know that. But those people, they don't exist anymore for me. For you and Ron, yes. They're your mother and father, and they love you, even if they were dead wrong about the two of you. But they've never been close. They've always been watchful and wary to me. And that isn't going to change. There's no magic in the world that can bring that back, that can make them remember what used to be and what might have been. So that's over and done. And he added in almost a whisper, I can't forgive them for that. I really, really can't. Harry spent the next 2 weeks avoiding Grimmauld Place when he knew the Weasleys would be there. Instead, he brooded at Godric's Hollow, tirelessly thinking of a way to encourage Voldemort to try to draw Harry out of hiding. Inspiration did not strike until just before Ginny and Ron left to visit with their mother, Charlie, and Percy. Still, it was a dangerous plan. Hey, he said. He scribbled serious address on a spare bit of parchment. Give this to Percy. I'd like to talk to him. Ginny smiled. Good. I thought he might be the first one. Dunno why you haven't before, Ron said. Even if he wasn't the mad bloke. Or woman, Hermione said sharply. It could have been a woman. The mad bloke or the mad woman, Ron said dutifully. It wasn't Percy, damn it. Harry already knew this. Ron had asked Percy this pressing question the first time they met again after the Pensieve. Just bring him by, Harry said. He did not want to tell them his seed of a plan until he had spoken with Percy. They still haven't told anyone, yes? Of course not, Ginny said. Albus was explicit in his instructions. Wait and see. They left moments later, and Harry busied himself in the kitchen, preparing 2 cups of tea. In truth, he should have initiated this meeting sooner. Percy had not fallen in with the rest of the Weasleys, Harry knew. He had been cordial and had defended Harry on several occasions. That had protected Percy from the rage he had felt the night he had shown them his memories. The fact that he did not have very close memories of Percy because of the former estrangement was the secondary reason. There was a small crack, and Percy appeared. The older boy looked surprised and gratified, though he tried to force his face in his stoic lines. Harry eyed him. Would you like a cup of tea? He asked. Air. Thank you, Percy said. He sat at the table and stared at the mug in his hands. Harry was about to open his mouth to speak, but Percy beat him to it. Harry, why weren't there any memories of me? Harry could tell that this question had burned inside him, and he wondered why he had not asked Ron. Perhaps he wanted to hear it from Harry. How did Harry explain this without stating explicitly that he had deliberately punished the Weasleys for the years of doubt and dislike? I know I wasn't dead, Percy said. At least not until the end. Everything makes sense but that. And I mean everything. The closeness between you, Ginny, and Ron, the way you acted sometimes. Mum and Dad thought you were cold and hard, but the 3 of you sort of reminded of my uncles Gideon and Fabian. And the look in your eyes when he sent you away from the shed. The advanced skills, everything is so clear that I wonder why I never saw it before. Except, in all the memories you showed us, I was never once there, only my body at the end. True, Harry said. Listen, part of that was because, well, when Voldemort came back for the first time, the Ministry didn't believe it. Not at all. They claimed that I was a raving lunatic who just wanted attention. Albus was taken off the Wizengamot because he defended me. Is that why you've been in hiding? Percy asked shrewdly. Why you didn't try to explain what had happened with Cedric? Yes, Harry confirmed. And that's why all our allies are in deep hiding. We've been working behind the scenes, but that doesn't matter at the moment. Your mum and dad, they joined the Order of the Phoenix immediately. And you sided with the Ministry. Percy looked aghast. But why? You placed your loyalties where you thought you should, Harry said. So, for however many years, I didn't believe that you know who was back. No, Harry said. Voldemort. It's a long story, and part of the reason why I asked you to come only remained hidden for about a year. After that, I think you had a hard time knowing that you turned on your family. You came back, though, right before the final battle. Percy eyed him. Is that why you and Ron and Ginny were so nice? You didn't want me to side with the Ministry? No, Harry said honestly. We wanted you to know that if you sided with the Ministry, you could always come back. Ron and Ginny reckoned that if you knew that we appreciated you, you'd have an easier time of it. And don't feel too guilty. We found out, after the battle in which you died, that you've been using your connections at the Ministry to help Muggle-born witches and wizards to flee the country. Percy stared at him for long moments, ignoring his tea. Would you let me help if I ask? Percy, Harry said. That's actually why I wanted to talk to you. I have an idea, but there's a risk, and if you don't feel comfortable, I'll do it, Percy said immediately. Harry grinned. You may want to wait until I tell you. You see, we need bait for a trap. An hour later, Harry had outlined every risk that he could think of, including some that were extremely unlikely, and Percy was just as firm about his desire to help. Harry was reluctant. The fact that Percy would be used as bait was a minor thing, really, but Percy's allegiance would be public. It was possible that Voldemort could go after him. But Percy was adamant, and Harry had to admit that they needed him. Let's go tell Ron and Ginny, Harry said. And we'll have to ask Kreacher. Percy, are you certain? Harry asked for the 17th time. As certain as I was 2 minutes ago, Percy said immediately. Harry sighed. A thought flitted across his brain, and Harry realized that he felt exactly the opposite about Percy than he did the other Weasleys. Percy had kept himself at a distance last time, separated from the rest of his family by the virtue of having completely different personalities and interests. But now, it was the other way around. Percy was still Percy, pompous, ambitious, and a little hard to take in large doses. But his loyalty to Harry and his siblings had never truly wavered. All right, Harry said. I won't ask again. They apparat to Grimmauld Place at the same moment. Harry felt a nervous swooping in his stomach. This was the first time he had placed himself in the same place as the other Weasleys. Fortunately, they were apparently in the sitting room. The basement kitchen was deserted. Ginny, Ron, Sirius, Harry called loudly, and what sounded like a herd of elephants tromped down the stairs. He grimaced and then wiped all the expression off his face with the help of his rudimentary occlumency skills. Sirius bounded into the kitchen first, followed by Molly, Arthur, Bill, and Charlie. Harry let his eyes slide right past them. We figured out how we're going to lure Voldemort, Harry told them. Sirius, Kreacher is going to go to Narcissa Malfoy and tell her that I've got you under the Imperius curse. What? Sirius said blankly. Why not just say I'm supporting you? It's an added layer of protection, Harry said patiently. He saw the older Weasleys sit down at the table out of the corner of his eye. None of them were looking at him, which was just fine with Harry. However, it would be unwise to put Sirius in the compromising position of my ally. Not only for right now, but for later, we've got a plan for the worst for the Ministry, and Sirius needs leverage. Which means, we're using Percy as bait. Ron gaped at him. Did you think of this all by yourself? Harry grimaced at him. You know I don't like it, but it needs to happen. We'll take extra precautions, of course, and once Voldemort has come back into the open, Percy has agreed to move in here. Why not use the Fidelius charm on the burrow? Bill asked. Harry clenched his jaw and didn't answer. Because you're going to pretend to think the same as you did when Ron and Ginny left, Percy said promptly. You're going to continue to stay out of the fight, and you're going to be disapproving, even when everyone finds out you know who is back. Ginny gave Harry a small smile. No way, Charlie said forcefully. No way in hell will I. You'll do it, Harry said firmly. Sirius, we're going to have to ask Kreacher if he'll do this. And when he agrees, make absolutely certain that he knows exactly what to say. And tell him that if he is in any danger at all, he is to leave immediately. We need to act fast. Kreacher needs to have planted the information within a month. And I'll be moving out of the burrow and into my own flat, Percy said. Why Percy? Molly whispered. And why can't we? Why aren't we going to be on your side? It's all about doing what Voldemort doesn't expect, Mum, Ron said when Harry made no indication that he was going to answer her. Percy is the most likely candidate to be on friendly terms with us. And if your support remains hidden, you can do things that can't be traced back to you. And we need people like you at the Ministry, Dad. And we'll need Bill to stay at Gringotts for now. Why Gringotts? Bill asked. What the goblins got to do with this? We're going to have to, Ginny began, but she stopped and immediately frowned. She withdrew a small silver object from the inner pocket of her robes. No, Luna's voice. Don't. It has to be done. Umbridge's voice. It sounded faint and distant, and Ginny added a charm to make it louder. Give me that wand. Now, Mr. Longbottom, I believe you have something to tell me? Oh yes, I know you've thwarted me all year, both of you. But you will tell me where Harry Potter is. Right now. No, Neville said. We're going to Hogwarts right now, Harry said. Let's go, Ginny. Ron. But all three of them turned on the spot, and after the unpleasant sensation of being pulled through a small tube, Harry was in the tidy upper room of the Hog's Head Inn. Ariana, we got to get in. Crucio, Umbridge shouted. Luna screamed a terrible, high-pitched sound that nearly stopped Harry's heart. All three raced as fast as they could up the passageway and into the room of requirement. We need a door, Harry yelled, one that leads into Umbridge's office. Should we disillusion ourselves? Ron asked. No need, Harry said grimly. Dead people don't talk. The door appeared when they were halfway across the room, and Harry reached it at a dead run and threw it open. The scene that met his eyes filled him with anger so intense that Harry had raised his wand, intending to use the killing curse for the first time in his life. Luna was bound tightly to a chair and was screaming from the pain the Cruciatus curse caused. Neville was beside her, also bound, tears of impotent rage streaming down his face. And Umbridge cast the curse, a sickening look of glee on her face. But the cool, logical part of his brain wanted answers to several questions he had. Just a few minutes, Harry promised himself. So when he shouted, the word that left his lips was stupefy. Umbridge dropped like a stone, and Luna stopped screaming. Ginny immediately unbound her and Neville. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Luna sobbed, panting. Neville shook with fury. He stood up with deliberate motion and raised his wand. There was a hard, determined look on his face, and Harry knew that he was about to kill the stunned woman. Not yet, Harry said. Incarcerous. Black ropes twined around her so tightly that they cut her skin, causing her to bleed in spots. Innervate, Ron said. Umbridge's beady little eyes blinked open. Harry bent over her and saw with grim satisfaction that her eyes widened with fear. She made little whimpering noises. She tried to move, but gasped from the pain. This did not bother Harry in the slightest. You cunt, Harry said. You foul, evil cunt. You're dead. You're already dead. You just haven't stopped breathing yet. How do you like having Harry tie you up with magic? Ron asked. I've got to admit, I'm really enjoying the sight. Looks painful. Harry ignored this, though Umbridge looked even more terrified. Don't worry, Harry said. We already hated you before you accused me of buggering Ron. We're not going to kill you because of that. We're going to kill you because you tortured Luna and you tortured Neville by forcing him to watch. But first, you're going to answer a few questions. You can't. A lot of people say that to me, Harry interrupted. You're not the only one who is going to die surprised. Now, tell me, how did you fool the centaurs? How did you perform a memory charm on them? What? Umbridge said blankly. Harry tightened the ropes until they squealed. I don't. Before you wrote the article that started the process that turned the world against me, Harry said very slowly, you had to have done research. How did you trick Firenze? I can't imagine that you walked into that forest and called him a half-breed. You'd be dead already. I didn't write the article, Umbridge said. Harry twitched his wand in her face, and she wet herself. The stench of urine and fear filled his nostrils. You have no reason to lie, Harry said, sitting back on his heels. He frowned at her. He did not like the fact that his instincts told him that she was telling the truth. She had no reason to lie. She should be boasting of it right now, as she had done when she had confessed that it had been she who had set the Dementors after Harry. The world rocked a little. I didn't. Umbridge squealed. Who wrote it, then? Harry shouted in her face. Tell me, damn you. I don't know. I don't. Ron swore loudly and fluently. Ginny made a sound like an angry cat. I just checked, Harry. I used the Veritas charm. I can't believe it, but she's telling the truth. She didn't write that damned article. Harry's mouth twisted with rage as he stared down at the toad-like woman who was now trying desperately to get out of her bonds, despite the pain. Harry stood up, pointed his wand, but before he could kill her, there was a bang and a flash of light. It hit Umbridge in the stomach and her eyes bugged out. Her skin immediately began to turn gray, and her breath came out in pants and gasps, as if her lungs were no longer working properly. It marbled and hardened, and Harry realized that she was being turned to stone before his eyes. It took quite a long time for the transfiguration to be complete, but 5 minutes later, the ugliest statue Harry had ever seen lay on the floor before him. But only for a moment. "Reducto," said Luna, and Umbridge burst apart. The only sign that she had been there at all was a fine dust that now coated the room. Harry turned to look at her. She was pale and trembling, but her blue eyes were rather fierce and not at all what he was used to seeing. Harry had known that Neville had hardened, but Harry had not noticed it in Luna. He felt pride and grief all at the same time. "What a remarkable spell, Luna," Ginny said. Her voice shook slightly. "Thank you, Guinevere," Luna said. "My father's friend taught me after my second year." They stood there in silence for long minutes. Ginny put her arm around Luna, who accepted the comfort gratefully. Ron put his hand on Neville's shoulder. Harry stared down at a piece of stone the size of his thumbnail. It was the biggest part of Umbridge left. She didn't write the article. Damn it. Snape is going to be furious. "I suppose we're going to have to tell Albus about this," Harry said. "Did anyone know that you came here tonight?" Neville and Luna shook their heads. "She didn't give us any time to tell anyone. And she didn't tell Fudge. We know that, because when she told us she was going to use the Cruciatus Curse, she said that what Fudge didn't know wouldn't hurt him," Neville explained. "That makes things easier," Ginny said. "Yeah," Ron said. "So it does not having a body to get rid of